Amazon's drone delivery has trouble getting off the ground. Artificial intelligence continues to accelerate with new ways to fool the public. And Apple's Tim Cook continues to hint at an AR future. These topics and more in the next episode of Today in Tech. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Today in Tech. I am Keith Shaw. Joining me to discuss the latest in tech news is Chris from Behind the Computers. Hi, Chris.
Hey, how's it going?
How's life been for you recently?
Pretty good.
All right, cool. We've got a lot to talk about, so let's just jump right in with Apple. Last week there was a big Tim Cook profile in GQ, and so this story is actually from The Verge, and so this was the too long didn't read kind of version of that longer piece. Basically, he's hinting at an upcoming AR VR device, while everybody else is sort of focused on AI. Apple, it seems like they're just dropping these hints of an AR future, and so what's interesting about this profile is there's a quote in here about how he thinks that it's about communication, and I'm going to give you the quote here. If you think about the technology itself with augmented reality, just to take one side of the AR VR piece, the idea that you could overlay the physical world with things from the digital world could greatly enhance people's communication, people's connection. So again, this is sort of what the Meta people were talking, and Facebook back when they bought Oculus. It's about communication, it's about connection. I think what we're going to see from Apple is going to be more AR and less VR. Would you agree? The whole idea of like the virtual digital world, like the virtual reality, it's going to just be in video games and sort of things like that. It's not going to be real. If you're going to go and walk with these glasses wherever, because I'm assuming they're going to be mobile.
Yeah.
It's going to have to be more like Google Glass, but like not as geeky, I guess.
Yeah, I think Apple might have more of a practical approach to this whole AR VR thing by just focusing on AR.
Right.
And not focusing on VR. So they might, I think they're going to focus on more of the commercial markets, maybe.
Yeah.
Like healthcare.
Yeah.
Architecture.
It is surprising to see Apple do this because they've been such a consumer-focused company. I think the two things that concern me and other sort of quote-unquote pundits that I read a bunch of articles, and everyone's got an opinion on this at this point. Mm-hmm. First of all, is the cost. The cost estimates that everything I see is $3,000, and people are saying that that's going to price out some people. Except for our friend Ken Mingus on the computer world.
Shout out Ken.
Shout out to Ken. The second problem is that it's going to probably geared more towards sort of the business / enterprise, and I don't like using the word enterprise, but maybe the business. And this is where you bring up an excellent point in our pre-show discussion. You brought up education, and I completely forgot about that sort of market.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities in these, different industries, right? Healthcare, education, architecture, where AR could be a huge benefit. Imagine you're looking at a schematic for a new building or a new, apartment complex, right? And you can put on your AR glasses and kind of get a real, accurate look at what it's going to look like when it's done.
Right.
And same thing for education, when you're depending on, the type of education, it could be like, let's say if you're in automotive or something, or other types of, fields, AR would be a huge benefit.
Yeah,
huge benefit.
And this is what Microsoft was trying with its HoloLens for a long time. They called it mixed reality.
Yeah.
And so they were trying to get engineers to wear these to sort of collaborate when they're designing something. And you had a bunch of remote people collaborating together and designing this in a mixed reality / so it's a mix of AR and VR. You don't hear that much about it because, again, Microsoft is sort of now going over to that AI side of things too. They're sort of leaving the VR AR stuff out of the world. Like, again, the idea of AR for me from a consumer side of thing would be great. Like, if I'm walking down the street and instead of using Google to figure out where to go,
Google Maps. So
Google
you get
Maps.
you get arrows pop up on your
right. So instead of
glasses.
see if I'm looking down on my phone like this, I'd rather have look ahead.
Heads
and
up
then have
display.
It has
Heads up
a
display.
heads up display. And I don't know if anyone's ever gotten it right, because I think what they do is they try to project it right in front of your eye, so it's like it looks like this. What it needs to be is like way out here.
Right.
And then as I move, more information comes in, and then I see a big arrow to go that way or this way. That's what appeals to me. I don't think that Apple's doing that. I think it's probably going to be more to your point. You're in construction and you've got the schematics of the building, and now you've built some of the parts of the building, and you put on your headset is like, well, does it match the schematic? Because
Right.
I've seen some robots that do this, like they roam around and they take pictures and then they match it up to the building plans. Because I guess that's a big problem in construction is the when you're building it, does it match what it's supposed to be? And so there's a lot of people probably just taking photos.
Well,
and
you'd
uploading
hope. I
those.
mean, when you hire, professionals,
Yeah, I don't know anything
should be
about-
done right.
yeah.
I mean, like, it should be done right. So,
I have a feeling you're speaking from experience in your.
I mean, it's not like they're
personal
building
life.
Legos. They're, I think, they're more. It's more detailed.
It's more
and-
complicated than that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So again, so it will be interesting to see if Apple can maybe tell us a use case that none of us have thought about yet. And if they do, it's going to be amazing.
I
I'm
still.
going to give them the benefit of being amazing.
Yeah, I still think it's going to be a pretty novelty niche kind of product.
Right.
Even if they do get it kicked off.
Right.
And if they do get it kicked off, it's just going to be for businesses and stuff like that.
And you know how a bunch of us in the tech media, they always sort of go back to, well, let's look at what they've done before, so to speak, right?
Yeah, unless they surprise us. Unless they surprise us. Well, okay, let's say we have the business version, right?
Yeah.
The expensive $3,000,
Right.
But what if
At the end of
all
it,
of a sudden at the end of the keynote, we have the Apple AR Lite,
right,
and it's maybe $1,000.
right.
It's much, it's easier to get into.
Yeah,
Cheaper to get into.
So they've, some of the articles I was reading also pointed this out, that initially when there were rumors of the iPad coming out, they said, "Oh, the iPad, all of our estimates is that it's going to cost $1,000, and then and when you see that price tag, everyone's like, okay, well, certain people will use it, certain people it'll just be used for work, blah blah blah." And then when they made the announcement, it came in at $500.
Yeah.
So maybe Apple does something like, yeah, we know it's, at $3,000, do they take a loss on the hardware? Probably. But what if they came in and said $1,999? It was, $2,000. Then you're like, okay, well, that's about a price of a high-end computer. I could see,
Yeah.
especially a Mac. I mean, 2,000, and then it becomes interesting, right?
Well,
the other thing that they did, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Back when they initially did the iPhone, again, there were all these phones that were already out there. They came in, they said the iPhone, the initial iPhone was like, okay, it's a phone. And people were like, well, it's not great. What really happened, what really made the iPhone take off was when they opened up their app store and allowed all of these app developers to do something for it. I could see the same thing happening with this headset. They come in, they go, here's our headset. And then maybe the following year or at some point they go, and we're going to open up an app store, and you guys tell us what these things can be used for. And then suddenly, it's game on.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're an Apple user, $2,000 isn't that bad.
Right.
Maybe. I mean, seeing as how they price out their stuff, if you're coming from like a PC environment,
It's
2,000 might be
the psychology of pricing. Like,
yeah.
you hear the word $3,000, you're like, wow, that's a lot of money.
It is a lot.
You hear $1,999, you're thinking, oh, that's not that bad, but it's only
It's not exactly 2,000.
right.
Just below by
After
$1.
taxes, it's still probably going to be $2,500, but it's not going to be $3,600. I don't know. It's just this weird psychology of how they price. That's why everything is always like, it's not $2,000. It's always $1,999, or it's not. Like gas prices do that with as well.
Right.
So. All right, I wanted to sort of meld the next topic with this Apple AR VR stuff. It turns out that we found some leaked photos that I want you to bring up of actually at Tim Cook preparing to launch the Apple VR headset. Do you want to bring that up on screen?
Yeah.
Oh wow, there's a see that again. I've time traveled to the future, and these are some of the.
Wait, it's already made, right?
Oh yeah.
He already made it.
They've already made it. This was probably at a dress rehearsal for the announcement. Bring up a couple of other ones. Oh, there it is. And so this is this is what the thing's going to look like.
The Apple AirPod VR combo with the peanut on the side.
Yeah, I have no. So okay, so if you haven't figured this out yet, these are fake images. These are images that I created with the Midjourney AI. So again, I don't want to be accused of ruining everything, but these are creepy. The one on the upper right there, I think it's a combination of Steve Jobs / Tim Cook with a disembodied hand touching his forehead.
Well, especially the one on the left, you can see it's trying to pull in Tim Cook and Steve Jobs.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to. If you go back to can you go back to the first one?
Yep.
I'm going to sort of explain. So ever since that whole fake Pope with the puffy jacket, fooled a lot of people. I've been really interested in Midjourney AI because I still think that that's a lot better than the DALL-E stuff that we've been playing with before. So I've been taking some of my extra time cycles that I have and going onto the site and just creating some images that pop into my head. And so the first one that I typed in was Apple CEO Tim Cook shows off a VR headset. And that's when it came up with those first 4 images. The second, so what Midjourney is also doing now is that they have a feature called Describe. So if you take any photo, it doesn't have to be created by AI. It could be any photo. It could be a photo of your kids. It could be a photo of your trip to the Eiffel Tower. You take that photo and you upload it into the Midjourney AI, and then it will. And when you use Describe, it'll then try to guess the correct prompt for the AI. So it'll say like photo, when I uploaded that photo, it then says, it gives me 4 options. And it's like photo of Tim Cook, at an event wearing a headset. And it gives you 4 different options. So then if you then press another button and then you use the Imagine prompt, it then creates that image based on the AI prompt. Okay, you still with me?
Yeah.
So then you get another 4 images, and that's one, and so on and so on and so on, and it's almost like photocopying a photocopy. If you keep doing it, you keep uploading an image, get the prompt, use that prompt, get 4 new pictures, take one of those pictures, upload it again, get another prompt, and at some point you get this was only 2 to 3 iterations when I actually got the image of the potential fake VR, Apple VR thing, which right. And then again with that weird peanut looking thing on the right, it could be a giant toe. It looks like a toenail. It looks like a peanut.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I just at that point, that's your clue. It's like, okay, that's got to be fake.
Yeah.
But I mean, none of those other. I mean, if you saw any of those other images, I'm pretty sure that the Apple is not going to have an iPhone on your head. So I'm pretty sure that's not what their headset's going to be. But I mean, at quick glance, maybe you could fool people. But again, I didn't do this just to try to fool people because again, I could have put this on Twitter and gotten a bunch of hits for it, but I did not. So don't come after me. That was all fake. But and again, we're seeing in the news this week, there's even more of these AI faked images. So we've had the Pope, we've had some of the Donald Trump, the fake arrest one. Elon Musk, there was a Twitter photo of him holding hands with GM CEO Mary Barra, holding hands. And
it's very convincing. It looks
well, yeah, and
real.
of course Elon Musk is the head of Tesla, so GM would be their competitor in the electric vehicle space. So the best part about this is that then Elon Musk found this and then he made a comment and it was like, oh, I wouldn't be wearing that, right? Or what did he say? Or is that maybe on the other image? He basically says, I wouldn't be wearing that outfit. It's like, okay, well, I think you're missing the point. Yeah, also I never wear that outfit. So it's still going to happen. And we're we're now in the second week of all of this stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just looking at the other comments here. Huh. Yeah, they're gonna have to find a way. I mean, did Twitter acknowledge that it was fake?
The story that I just popped up was a Reuters fact check.
It was okay, so it was done by Reuters.
Yeah,
it wasn't done by Twitter.
Yeah, I don't. So that little thing underneath, I think that's a Twitter warning, right?
Oh, I see. Okay.
So at least Twitter understood that it was an AI image.
Yeah, they're gonna have to
like like every image that you see on a website now.
It's going to have an image check.
It's going to have some sort of image check. Just, otherwise you're going to just be fooling people. And, and it's not just Twitter. It's going to be every site that publishes something. It's going to be every social media, Facebook and Instagram and all of it. Because again, when I got fooled by the fake Pope photo, it was on Instagram because because what you do with Instagram is you take a photo and then you throw headlines on it and add music and, you sort of remorph that into a new thing. Does that new image then have to be checked? I mean, I'm not going to trust any images from here on out, basically.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and make a guess here that I think soon, maybe in the near future, there's going to be some policy passed saying that any sort of media assets or whatever that go up on the internet is going to have some sort of like digital signature attached to it.
Yeah.
That way, internet apps and sources can run these assets through and be able to pick out, okay, what were the things that were generated from an AI algorithm or something. I have a feeling that might happen soon. Otherwise, you're just going to see more of this. You're going to see more faked images.
Again, we're in that Wild West. We're in the Wild West.
We're in the Wild West.
See what throw something on the wall, see what sticks. Interesting. There was a Wall Street Journal opinion piece that asked a bunch of students to sort of comment on this whole deep fake images stuff. And there was one comment that I really liked from one of the students who said, the rise of deep fakes could lead to a rise in NFT use to authenticate videos or photos on sensitive topics since they can't be copied and are easily authenticated. So could we actually see the resurgence of NFTs or at least find a good use for them?
As like a form of security.
As a form of security, and then sort of blockchain it, add blockchain into the whole thing so that that the image that you're seeing, if it's online, is the true image. You can't alter it or change it. Although, could you NFT a fake image?
I
don't know.
Yeah,
again, that's way over my head.
Yeah, way over my
but they're
head.
also saying for content for like entertainment, TV, movies, you could then blockchain it in NFT, and that guarantees that this is a real movie and entertainment and can't be copied, can't be modified, that kind of stuff.
I mean, it's a possibility.
So, hey, good. I just found it was the interesting comment about.
Well, it is, and that's us. I mean, that's a good example of thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
Okay, that could be a plausible solution. Yeah.
And again, with this whole Wild West sort of idea, you've got all of these people doing weird stuff, and then someone goes, "Oh, that's a problem. We should have a technology that identifies or fixes it." So maybe if it wasn't for these people doing the bad things and the trickery, maybe you wouldn't get that technology that could then validate it. Like if we were all super nice people and didn't have a bad streak in us.
True.
So, speaking of AI, I want to go to the next thing I want to talk about is this instant videos could represent the next leap in AI technology. This is the New York Times. So, we've now seen a lot of AI images that look really good. This is a video. This is an artificial intelligence generated video.
Yeah.
And it looks like a GIF/GIF.
It looks like claymation.
It looks like claymation. So the New York Times did a profile on this company. The startup is called Runway AI, and basically you type in a text prompt and it generates a small little video. And I think, again, since this looks like a GIF, it's only it's just repeating itself. It's possible that this video then turned into a GIF. I'm not completely sure, but obviously you can tell that this is fake, right?
Yeah, or a very poorly done claymation. Reminds me of Gumby.
Yes, and this is and again, I guess the prompt here was a cow at a birthday party. So I don't know why I decided to add a dog. The candles look kind of creepy. If you want to scroll down to the next version, the next one that they did was This is a dog
Checking out his phone.
with a cell phone in the park.
He's checking out his TikTok.
Video didn't get the hands right. I think even AI images still have a problem with fingers, just like cartoonists have for the past 100 years. It's very hard to draw hands. Mm-hmm. Plus, we all know that dogs don't use cell phones,
And they don't have hands.
because they use tablets. Everyone knows that. And the last one is a tranquil river in the forest.
I mean, that's cool.
This
It's
just
more,
makes me think of B-roll. This is just.
It's more illustrative.
Yeah.
Right? It's like a moving painting.
So now, before anybody dismisses this is what I wanted to point out. This is what AI still images look like last year. So it only took a year to get from, clunky, weird-looking images to the parts now where we're fooling the general public over the internet. So if it's let's give it the benefit of the doubt. Maybe in another 2 years, video-generated AI will, and then again, you start getting into the whole deep fake stuff, of actual celebrities. But video is harder to do than images.
Yeah, I mean, if it's scary to think, because if we've gotten this far in this short amount of time, it's kind of like, okay, what can we do next? Like, what's actually within our reach in the next 2 years?
I'm glad you asked, because we've now done images, we've now talked about video, and now the third aspect of the multimedia landscape is audio.
Oh, well, that's easy.
And so
easier.
Audio is definitely easier. And so there were a couple stories that piqued my attention this week. The first one was from CBR.com. The Mandalorian's Katie Sackhoff is open to Bo-Katan's voice outliving her through AI. For those who don't know, Bo-Katan is in The Mandalorian, Star Wars property. And she basically said that she has no problem with Lucasfilm using her voice via AI, just as long as her family and the estate gets paid, is basically the one condition that she had. And
those are good conditions.
Those are, and you and I were talking about this before, and I think James Earl Jones's voice for Darth Vader, he's allowing them to clone the voice as well.
Exactly. Yeah, he's had his voice sold or bought by Lucasfilm or whatever. Yeah. Or Disney at this point.
Right. So you don't have to actually then hire an impersonator to try to do a new voice. You can just basically use and clone that voice.
Right. And I'm pretty sure, what was the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show? I believe.
Did they already do it?
Yeah, I believe so. I could be wrong.
Okay.
Keyboard warriors out there. But also, I mean, if we look at Luke Skywalker in what season was it of The Mandalorian, they used his voice in The Mandalorian.
Right.
And I think I don't know if they needed to have the rights to his likeness and image when they, how they deep fake, they used, CGI basically to
the
deep fake
de-aging
them.
stuff,
right? The de-aging to make them look young. I don't know about that, and that begs the question: is like, okay, if for example, let's say, we bring Stan Lee back.
Yes,
from the dead.
This is
Right.
we were thinking about like current celebrities that would authorize it, that might be getting old and you want to have their voice live on. Like Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford is a great example of that. Yeah. If you wanted to make a new Indy 6, Indy 7, Indy 8, Indy 10, whatever. But
like bringing back Stan Lee.
Bringing back dead celebrities.
Right.
And you brought up Stan Lee, and I was like, I'm all for this.
Yeah, bring back his cameos, make the Marvel comic universe great again. I don't know. MCU great again. I don't know. But then right when we were discussing this, then today in the Wall Street Journal, apparently they're already doing this for audiobooks. And so there was an actor named Edward Herman. You probably recognize him. He was always like, I remember this guy, but he's been dead for 10 years, but that's not preventing companies from using his voice to to basically narrate audiobooks. So, because he had such a good voice. Yeah, so, who is this again?
Actor Edward Herman. Oh boy, what could I?
Oh, right here. Yeah, they got a picture of him right here.
That's when he was older, but he's probably more recognizable from his younger. He's one of those character actors that you always recognize.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now, is it troubling? Is it like As long as you pay them. I think I'm fine with as long as you pay them. Like if anybody wants my voice after I'm gone, yeah, as long as you pay me.
Yeah,
Or pay my family.
Exactly. So long as it gets passed down, right?
Yeah. It could get, so I'm sure that they're going to be working on the legalese part of all of that, because Hollywood generally doesn't like to spend a lot of money if they don't have to.
Yeah. But will the AI be good enough to reproduce, what's his name? David Attenborough? Who does the...
Is that the stuff from the BBC?
Yeah, you know, the
nature films?
Animals in the Serengeti. You know, like he does...
And he was the guy.
His VO.
Was he the guy that was in Jurassic Park, or was that Richard Attenborough? That's his
Richard.
brother. Okay.
Yeah, let me just look it up real quick, just to make sure I have this right.
I always mess up those two, and I always mess up Bill Paxton and Bill Pullman.
Yeah, David Attenborough.
Okay.
Senior
Like
manager.
again, we should make sure that Morgan Freeman as well.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
You know, let's make a deal for Morgan Freeman right now.
License all their voices.
Yep. Like give them the money, give the estate the money.
The infinite money making business model right there. Just license people's voices.
Right. Don't
Easy.
let any new actors come up with
We don't
good
need
voices.
new voices.
We just
want to stick with all the old.
It's
iconic.
And again, maybe that's the proof that we actually are living in the Matrix, because the Matrix was just a certain set of time between the 90s and now.
I mean, hey, maybe we're making the Matrix right now. We're building it right now, bits and pieces.
Maybe somewhere my body is lying in a battery tube and aliens are harvesting my energy.
Wait, hold on a second.
Is that how it works?
Where's my aluminum foil? Did you take my roll of aluminum foil?
Yeah, we have a budget for tinfoil hats around here. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, so that's all the AI stuff. I don't want to talk any more about AI stuff. So let's go to our last thing, and this is amusing, I think, for both you and me. Amazon is struggling with its drone delivery program. There's a great article in Wired that basically tells about all of the problems. Now, it's been 10 years since Amazon's Jeff Bezos went on 60 Minutes and showed everybody the future of package delivery was drones. And so now 10 years later, we get videos like this of the Amazon Prime drone dropping its package and then flying away. And this is intentional, by the way. This is, I think, how it's supposed to work. Here's another one.
It just drops out.
Yep, drops. Oh, and then it's windy. There goes the box. You're like, okay, it doesn't make a clean landing. Now, you're speculating that there was nothing in that box.
I mean, it didn't look like it.
I just think that they were probably delivering like a toothbrush or something that was really light.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
And then when it drops from that height, you can't deliver anything fragile.
Nothing fragile.
No matter how much bubble wrap you put into it.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. I look at this and I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but I don't think they're gonna be able to scale the way they want to.
That's one of the problems that they're having is that they are, they have to have flight observers. They have not achieved what is called BVLOS or BVLOS, which is beyond visual line of sight. There are companies that have achieved that get special exemptions for that because they've got software and technology that can basically make these drones fully autonomous. So you don't need an observer in the sky. And the FAA has granted a lot of companies this. But for some reason, like Amazon continues to struggle. And I guess there's been a couple of crashes that haven't hurt anybody, but I don't know if it's because Amazon is insisting that they know best in terms of the technology. They should go in and look at third-party automation, autonomy software providers that can do this correctly, because otherwise they're never going to scale. But again, a lot of the drone delivery stuff that you're seeing currently, there are 3 or 4 other companies, and I think we brought this up. Maybe there was on one of our other episodes, there was a company called Zipline, and Mark Rober, who's a very famous YouTuber, did a video about their drone delivery, and they've redesigned their drone, and it flies into a little chute and then spits out its package, so that.
And then what, you got to throw it back up or something?
No, then it automatically flies away from this little chute thing that comes out. I've seen ones where there's so it stays up in the air, and then a little tether rope comes down and then drops the package or sets the package on the ground so that the drone never has to land. You and I have joked, again, this was 10 years ago. Everyone was talking about, well, if, these people out in the West would be like, well, if anything, if I see a drone on my property, I'm going to shoot it. That's a really bad stereotypical stereotypical
It's
redneck.
it's good target practice right there.
Yeah, and so the
Or bored teenagers hanging out at school. It's like, yeah, they're gonna try to knock it down.
and so I don't know. I mean, I think you can't get to a future unless you have a lot of missteps
Right.
along the way. And so maybe this is just another sort of misstep. But given the fact that all of these tech companies have done layoffs lately, publicizing something like this is not great for the company. It might be, you might have to see another leap in technology at some point. It means that next week I'm not going to be getting my toothbrushes delivered via drone, especially with my house.
Yeah.
I'm out in the country, but it's going to be vans and it's going to be human drivers for a long time, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's cool.
But good for them for trying.
Right.
So, any final thought? Food delivery. You in favor of that via drone?
No.
Not if it drops. Not if it drops.
Not at all. I think that'd be a bad idea.
Yeah.
Very bad idea.
Even regular delivery, food delivery, whether it's via like a teenage driver driving the pizza to your house, or if it's was it DoorDash or Uber Eats, like there's a lot of people that do that and are willing to pay that price, but I don't know how hot is that food when that comes to your door. Like, sometimes even if I go to a drive-through and then come home, like drive-through food is not as good as when you just sit there and eat it in the restaurant.
It's not.
Yeah. So maybe, and there are some smaller examples of where drone delivery can help, like medicine delivery in rural areas. So I don't think drones are going to go away. And I think drone delivery might be in a case-by-case basis, but it's probably not going to be mainstream for a while. Because again, and I think a lot of the concerns with the Amazon ones is the noise. You have to make sure it's really quiet, or otherwise you are going to be annoying people. And
Stealthy drones.
yeah, like the invisible, like cloaking type technology, or no?
Even scarier.
Did you ever see the movie Ready Player One?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay, so their vision of the future, this was the whole virtual reality, metaverse type things. But in the real world, when they did the whole real world stuff, there were drones delivering things all the time, and they did a great job of having this like white noise drone sound. It was like in the background while they were showing those scenes, and I was like, wow, if I lived in that future, I would probably want to take a baseball bat to some of these drones. So imagine like everyone's getting a delivery. I'd be like, I couldn't deal with that noise, and so that's noise is an issue that
It's something we're gonna have to watch. I mean, when you brought up the story today, I totally forgot about it. The fact that Amazon pitched it 10 years ago.
And again, because they just have fallen behind some of these other companies that can either start smaller and are not as big as Amazon. And it's possible that Amazon has this hubris of thinking that they're going to do it the best way, or they don't need the help of others. It's almost like this is a startup thing that can grow, and maybe you'll see Amazon just buy some of these other companies and maybe integrate that in. So who knows? So, all right. We are caught up on all of the news, for at least the stuff that interests me.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up.
All right. Good to see you, Chris.
Yep, same here.
That's all the time we've got for today's episode. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and add any comments that you have below. We always answer all of the fun comments we get. So join us every week for new episodes of Today in Tech. I'm Keith Shaw. Thanks for watching.